Welcome back. It's your favorite guitar-related podcast. It is the Fretboard Confessional with your host, Chris McKee.
My name is Cooper Greenberg.
And we are here with Alamo Music in San Antonio. This is episode 4 of season 2 of the Fretboard Confessional. We have a great episode lined up for you today, don't we, Cooper?
Always.
Exciting stuff. We're going to jump into some news, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some things that we got going on that we think you guys are going to be excited about. And I'm going to lead off with the news section of our podcast today because you're going to like this. Ready? Because you already know what I'm going to talk about. Something in the used guitar market is bugging me. How's that for a pun?
That's pretty good. It's
pretty
I know
good.
where this is going.
So, this is an interesting thing. I am now dealing with like an esoteric crisis of concern when it comes to used guitars that I never thought I would deal with. But you're on the guitar Reddit group sometimes. You've been posting some of your cool stuff lately.
Yeah.
And on one of these guitar subreddits, a guy posted about a month ago that he'd bought a used guitar and he noticed some stuff kind of falling off of it. He takes the neck off the guitar and it's full of bugs.
Bugs. What kind of bugs were they?
They were bed bugs, which is like the worst. The only thing that could possibly be worse than bed bugs or on par is maybe like German cockroaches. Like the little ones that get into everything.
Guys. So like, how does that even happen?
Well, so according to the story on the subreddit, I think he bought it at a pawn shop. And so it was probably some infestation from something. But it did get me thinking. I've been seeing, unrelated to guitars, stuff on social media where people are, even boxes that they order from Amazon, unboxing outside their home because of bugs hitching rides in the cardboard. And so they're just not bringing it to the house.
They got to get to where they're going, all right? And they're going to you.
And you know, it's one of these things like with global e-commerce and shipping and stuff. It's like, I don't know that I thought about this to a great extent, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy. And it gets worse. Like right now we're just talking about in some shipping packages, there's bugs. In this used guitar a guy bought, it was infested with bugs that either came from the previous owner or at the pawn shop. My guess would probably be a really nasty previous owner. But it's gross.
Yeah, that's pretty heinous. I've never seen that before. I feel like, there's a lot of times you see a used guitar with a lot of inexplicable grime of like, what is this?
What is this stuff?
Why is it sticky? Maybe a little bit.
What is this on the fretboard? Why is it moving?
To me, it's like if the neck angle is as such that bugs can fit in there. Yeah. I mean, what's going on here? That's a bug shim. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, it was probably high to begin with.
Yeah.
It's a whole new reason for buzz. Hey. Now, if you remember...
That's what I'm talking about. That's why you watch this podcast.
All the wit. So you remember when we had that vintage Martin that had been like hanging somewhere? It had like a mud dauber's nest in it. Thankfully, it didn't have the bug.
Yeah.
But these things can happen now. In an acoustic guitar, I could see it happening more, right?
Yeah.
But there are little cavities for electric guitars. And then when I started thinking about some bugs, like ants or certain roaches are attracted to electronics, things that have a battery and an active preamp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just in a nasty environment, I just never thought about, neck angle, setup, fret wear, bug infestation.
Yeah. That's why you got to go direct mount. You don't want anything being able to get in there.
Old school, no preamp, no active electronics are needed here.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Yeah.
But it gets worse because
how can it get worse?
Look, I invite everyone.
But wait, there's more, and there's more bugs.
Yes, I invite everyone to go to Reddit, look at the guitar subreddit, and in the guitar subreddit, just search the word bugs. Because here's the other thing that's come up recently. On brand new guitars that are import, that I would say are inexpensive guitars from unknown brands, the kind that you can buy on Amazon really inexpensively, people are seeing active, alive bugs eating through the wood under the finish. And the responses are pretty clear. Well, that just means that the wood wasn't properly cured. It wasn't, so I mean, it's not going to be a good instrument to begin with.
Yeah.
Your neck's going to be moving all over the place. Like none of this was done correctly. But they're shipping stuff from these, countries to Amazon warehouses and then to your house because you wanted a cheap guitar. And the fun part of it is you get to watch the bugs eat through and make designs in the top while you play.
That's maybe like, that's actually kind of rock and roll, to be honest. Yeah. That's metal.
That's why it's lighter in 30 years.
Yeah. Definitely, as Josh said, that's chambered body. That's a terrified top. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to think.
Terrified.
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. There's some fun stuff. My favorite is how many posts I see a day that are like, "Is this fake?"
Yeah.
And it says like Zender on it or something.
Yeah.
Like it's so obviously
Fender.
fake. It's so bad. I saw one the other day that the F on the Fender logo was underneath the string tree.
Yeah.
Where somebody's like, did Fender just mess up on this?
My favorite one was
No.
just the other day, someone had a Telecaster for sale, and it had a Fender logo very poorly put on the headstock. But the back shot of the guitar clearly showed Squire on the neck plate, so they hadn't really done the full job. Did you see that?
Was that a Sunburst?
Yeah.
Strat? Yeah, I did see that one. Yeah, there's been a lot, working at a guitar store. People try to trade in fakes all the time. It's pretty sad to have to tell somebody, like, this is not a real Gibson Les Paul custom that you just found at the flea market, but it happens. I would take a badly made Fender copy than an American Ultra with bugs in it.
Yeah, true.
But I don't think we'd be seeing a lot of Fenders with bugs.
How do you get
Who's
the
to
buzz out of
say?
that guitar? That's really the question.
Yeah, Terminix.
So new used guitar fear unlocked.
I wonder if there's any bugs on Segway, Fender's certified pre-owned store.
I think it's a little buggy. Yeah, it's a great segue. So if you haven't heard, to great fanfare, Fender and Reverb
To the delight of the industry.
Yeah, to the delight of everybody, Fender and Reverb announced a collaboration with where they were selling certified pre-owned stuff. And I'd kind of gotten wind of this in July. There were various dealers talking about it, obviously, because it affects our business. And there are a lot of questions. One of the funniest things to me, come to find out, is that a lot of people that work at Fender didn't know about it till it happened. So that's curious, but I've got a lot of questions. I'd like to hear your questions about how this thing might work and what's involved with their certified pre-owned Mazda Fender program.
Yeah, my thing is like, why? Why do you need that? All right.
I can tell you why.
I mean, I could make some guesses. I will say that my main question is, where are the guitars coming from? Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that they may be returns. Mm-hmm. They may be, who knows? Do you think that's the only source of guitars that
Well, it's a good question. I think the two ones that make the most sense is that it's returns from people buying direct from Fender, which we've heard makes up a very small percentage of their overall business. Most of their business still goes through dealers. I'd love for them to remember that. And then
never forget where you came from.
The other part of it, I think, might be B stock. They used to sell us B stock.
Yeah.
And this was, I'm talking 10 years ago, we would get these lists of stuff that was on B stock, and sometimes it was whole guitar, sometimes it was parts, and sometimes the B stock was just like a little finish issue.
Yeah, and just to note, they used to sell us B stock stuff. Some vendors still do. It's always marked on our site. We're not. We never. And dealers don't try to pass that stuff off as like this is a brand new one. You can see Taylor factory demos, factory use, whatever. So just a note in there. Some people have said, "Oh, you're just trying to sell me a B stock as a new guitar." Wrong. Yamaha is trying to sell us a B stock as a new guitar. Just kidding. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I think those are the sources that make the most sense, because the next alternative after those two sources that are readily available to them already they are buying used guitars on the market to then turn around and sell. And
Zillow style.
Yeah, I don't know that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
From for their own margin. And what they probably want to do with the used market, because you got to think the reason to do this is to help control some of their inventory. They might even, dare I say, be selling some perfectly fine overstock as certified pre-owned. That's a potentiality. But, the thing that would make sense also is like if it's a NAMM thing, if it's a dealer demo, if it's a rep sample. I mean, there's things that kind of already fit into that. To go out into the market and to buy stuff that people are selling privately and then to go through any kind of a process to fix, repair, whatever's that, which is another question we could talk about, but whatever is in the certified process, to then sell it again at a reduced price because it's a used item. Maybe you're trying to control the used market, but at what cost on the other end? Because if you are buying from individuals and trying to get a low, like bottom dollar price to then turn around and sell it, you're going to drive down the used market in your attempt to prop it up. So the whole thing's kind of confusing.
It is confusing. I will say that at our store, Alamo Music, that's where we work, if we are doing a trade for taking in used gear on consignment or a purchase, whatever, there's a lot of steps it goes through before it goes on the wall. Mainly, for sure, it goes through a process to get photographed, put on the website, and all that. But yes, if there are things that are wrong with the guitar, they either get setups, restrings, get cleaned up, like several different sets of hands touch the guitar before it's ready to sell, just like any business that is selling used items. And it's not cheap to do that. And so, that's why a lot of times if you try to sell a guitar to a guitar store, you're going to get offered less than the value that these things are going for used online, because there is, certain expenses that go into selling used gear.
Right.
It's totally fine. The weird part to me is that Fender on the certified pre-owned is like, it's basically just MAP price with 20% off.
Right.
So I don't think I have a hard time thinking that it's going through a service shop. It's getting much done with it other than like take a photo of it, put it on there. I think that it's perfectly fine stuff, but it's like, it's a Memorial Day discount on new gear.
It leads one to suspect, not saying this is what's happening, is that they are selling their overstock stuff. And a lot of manufacturers have been working through overstock since the pandemic's kind of ended, and that they are doing it at a reduced price and calling it used because that's the only way that it wouldn't be below new MAP, which is minimum advertised price. It's what the dealer sets the price at, and so we couldn't sell something that's brand new below the price that a manufacturer has suggested. And call it brand new. You're not allowed to do that. So it may be they're calling it this, but it's actually this. That would kind of make sense, although kind of a weird way to do it, because they have other tools, they have other levers they can pull in order to get rid of excess inventory, just like any manufacturer does. So if that's what's going on, kind of a weird way to go about it, because at the same time, there's a big question for dealers like us. So are we going to be participating in this? Because they've kind of said maybe, maybe not. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Here's the program. So there's a lot of questions. And going back to the certified thing, is it the same as their normal lifetime warranty? What exactly goes into inspecting that things are certified, particularly depending upon where they're sourcing it from?
Yeah.
You could imagine you probably wouldn't warranty a finish on a used guitar, right? Because it's going to be a used guitar, unless they're saying all of these are mint, which goes back to our previous point.
You know that thing when you like go into a AT&T store or whatever, and it's like, I got the iPhone 12, and they're like, get up to $400 for your iPhone, regardless of condition, whatever. Right. If they did something like that, where somebody had a guitar that qualified, just Fender sends you a check, and then you can go shop at a dealer.
Well, because
that'd be great.
Here's the thing about it. This is the deal that historic companies deal with. And that is they compete against themselves in the used market. This has become more of a thing, I would say, in the last 15, 20 years. And that is why what we have seen happen is a shortening of the lifespan of a model or of a series name. Because, for instance, the American Standard was the name of an American kind of flagship Fender Stratocaster or Telecaster, whatever, for 15 years.
Yeah.
And there were so many out there that a new one competed with the used one. So the solution for that, and really what guitar manufacturers are doing, are they're following a pattern laid out for them from automobile manufacturers, from consumer electronics manufacturers, is every so often you update your product. And I think that's perfectly fine and reasonable. And if you do it with a new name and you do it with new features, you're giving people a reason to now buy the new product instead of the used product. Now it can run away.
Yeah.
Gibson was doing it every single year. Like, oh, here's the new model number. And it's like, it's effectively the same guitar. You're just making it difficult on dealers at this point and consumers to know, well, what's the difference? There is no difference. It's just got a new model number now.
Yeah.
So you can't do it every year. A Gibson Les Paul is not an iPhone, And even Apple's running into this now, right? Because if it doesn't change enough, consumers aren't motivated to buy.
Yeah.
But particularly in guitars, they don't require software updates right now. So they don't grow kind of out of spec with the software. They don't slow down like computers and phones do, and there's not huge changes in safety or features like in the automotive realm, and so they have to get creative with this. It's perfectly fine and reasonable, but at the end of the day, you're always going to be competing with yourself as well as other manufacturers when it comes to used product. And with Gibson and Fender, not just that, but also vintage product and who they were back when. So, yeah, it's tough. This is just kind of a weird solution, I think.
Yeah, it's like, again, on guitar subreddits, somebody's like, is this a good price? This store's offering me $2,500 because this is new old stock of a D28.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, well, if you go on Reverb right now, you can find a 2023 that's barely used for $2,200 or something. Like, people are constantly buying guitars and then getting rid of them to go buy something else. And, it's like Facebook Marketplace. I have a friend that's like, I would never buy a guitar from a guitar store anymore. I'm like, you're my friend. I work here. Come on. But he's like, I just go on Marketplace. And I'm like, oh, so you want the modded out Jaguar classic vibe because you can get it for like $150? Come to my store. You're my friend. Charlie.
You get the friend and family discount, or maybe you should just charge him more.
Yeah, you pay double here. All right.
I can't wrap my head around kind of blindly buying this stuff. I mean, I've bought used guitars online. I'm very cautious when I do it. I always want to make sure that what's the return kind of period look like? How are you shipping it? I've had mostly good results in the things that I very cautiously have bought. I've had some bad experiences. I think I told you one time I was buying an amp. It was a Mesa Boogie Mark I reissue. Guy had it. It was in great condition. I liked the price. And I was actually paying a little bit more than other stuff that was out there because the condition was so great.
Yeah.
And then he never shipped it. And I followed up with him and he still didn't ship it. If you listen to this podcast, man, you did me a favor. I bought a Mark V. So
come to my store.
Yeah, but you should have shipped the amp. So, that was a bad experience. Eventually I was like, never mind, man. If you wanted to keep it or you're just too lazy, whatever, I want my money back. And I went and I just bought a brand new Boogie. But
brand new Boogie.
Buying stuff, you don't know. You might get bugs in your guitar.
Yeah.
Not just the setup being bad.
I sure hope so. I sold a guitar the other day. If you happen to be listening to this and you bought my Rickenbacker, thank you. There's no bugs in it. It's neck through.
That we know of.
Yeah, I checked for bugs. I sprayed it with Raid right before I shipped
That's
it.
what you think it's nitro. No, it's Raid that you're smelling.
That's how it's done, dude. Yeah, it's a crazy world out there, It's always an interesting thing, especially now that our symbiotic relationship with vendors has become also competition at the same time.
Yeah, and I think I've said on probably our normal YouTube channel before, I don't begrudge them, and I think, there's just a weird thing all retail companies are going through right now because of e-commerce. It was already a deal. The pandemic accelerated the whole aspect of e-commerce, and it's affected a lot of brick and mortar segments, not just music retail. I mean, there's clothing stores that are closing, there's electronic stores that are closing because so many things are commoditized. But what I tell people all the time with guitars is primarily they're made of wood and steel, and they move around and they're not all the same.
Yeah.
Particularly with acoustic guitars, but even with electric guitars, you can pick up a bunch of the same model. There's little differences.
Yeah.
I've bought guitars we've had in the store, and when it's been the same model that we've had, I've looked at a few and then picked the one I wanted. So you lose out on that. And going back to a point you made earlier, horse trading is fine, whatever. I'm going to echo Bob Taylor on this. Do yourself a favor, pick one guitar that you can just kind of have, like understand what it's like to have a guitar grow old a little bit with you.
Yeah.
Because it is a thing. The guitar changes with you. It becomes your instrument.
Yeah.
You know, and you have some guitars. I've got guitars, right? I have, at this point, my preferred go-to guitars. And I,
a lot of variety too.
Yeah.
You're not just like I have 12 Strats kind of guy.
Right.
You got a variety. So I will say this, if you're the type of person, like if you don't shop at Alamo Music, maybe you're local to San Antonio or Austin or whatever, you don't buy from us, but you come in and you're like, I'm trying out the new Fender Player 2, but I got a buddy that has a, guitar shop in Bozeman, Montana, and I prefer to buy from him. I just wanted to try it out somewhere local. It hurts my feelings, but it's like whatever. As long as you're giving your business somebody that's got a hard working independent shop that does their thing, that's fine. I can dig that. Somebody came in recently and was like, I just want to try the new Player 2s or some Fender guitar. I just really kind of want to get my hands on them because I saw Fender.com's doing some deals right now. One, no. You can't try out the guitars.
You're the problem.
Just kidding. You can try them out. Try them out. If Fender's doing a great deal,
we can also do the deal.
Ask. If you see something amazing online that you're like, this is too good of a deal to pass up, and you're trying out the guitar in our store or you see that we have it, just ask.
Well, and I would also say, what you described is a phenomenon called showcasing.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that. If who you end up buying it from at the end of the day is an independent shop, that's cool. If who you end up buying it at the end of the day is Amazon or Guitar Center or Sweetwater or something like that, pretty soon you won't have a shop around to try things at.
Yeah.
That's the truth of things. And, guitar players tend to be kind of a curmudgeon-y bunch, but also a romantic bunch. That's why everyone thinks there's magic in vintage instruments.
Yeah.
So if you like going to guitar stores, you have to support guitar stores or piano stores or whatever it is that you frequent. You need to support that local scene. Just like if you want local bands, you got to go back out and listen to them.
Yeah.
Or you won't have local bands playing. It's just how it goes.
Or if your local bands are trash, stop going to see them. Right.
Just
get
book
them
the
out
Texases.
Of there. Yeah, book our bands. All right, it's okay. Just give us a call.
I'm gonna sit in with the Texases. I'm gonna be playing the jug and triangle.
Ooh. Do a little washboard.
Get the spoons going.
That's good for me. Or go see Voracious. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's
they didn't have a spot for me with Jug. I asked.
Yeah, well,
it's not their scene.
It's not a very voracious track to put a little Jug on there. So anyway, at the end of the day, just be vigilant. There's snakes afoot. Am I right, guys?
And bed bugs.
There's bed bugs everywhere. Let's talk about more fun things.
Let's talk about the stuff we're doing because it's pretty cool.
Well, I sold my Rickenbacker and I bought a Martin and I really love it. The Martin that I got is not here today, but it was
very nice.
It's very cool. However, we did get some Martins in, and we got some Fenders in and some Taylors in, and they're all special things that we made. Yeah. I have one next to me that I want to show you. So, one moment.
Don't smack it on anything now.
I will not.
That is a beautiful guitar. So this is a representation of something that Cooper has really diligently been working on for almost a year now. And what it is it's a represents a whole bunch of guitars
Oh yeah.
that we've gotten in from the Martin Custom Shop to celebrate 95 years in business.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've been here for 95
I know,
years,
dude. I'm getting tired. My back hurts, and I'm hungry. So that doesn't have to do anything with the amount of time. It's just I had cucumbers and a hard-boiled egg for lunch.
I haven't eaten yet.
I'm starving. So yeah, that I just showed off. Obviously, we're going to show it off on the channel with a bunch of other very cool guitars. And we record the podcast. It comes out a little bit later. We're recording guitars tomorrow. Who knows the order in which these are going to drop? But 95th anniversary guitars are sweet. And there's also other things that who knows by the time if this comes out, if they're still going to be here. Hopefully we have access to doing more. But the 914 Chris McKee signature's back. Engelmann tops are back on the menu.
Bear Claw Engelmann.
They're incredible, and they're 100% the most popular exclusive that we've ever done.
I think we've sold before this batch like 40.
I think there was 40, and it was like a very quick 40 of like, we get 10, we get 10, we get 10, we get 10,
Yeah.
and they keep going, and they're very cool. So Engelmann's back, and of course you've seen we've been doing some Strats, so there's a lot of fun stuff going on. The Martins, the one that you just saw, is a one-off. There's not any more, but it's 12 fret triple O, Italian Alpine spruce top, Zero Cote back and sides, Pale Moon ebony
Yeah.
on the fingerboard and bridge, and it's a pyramid bridge. It's neat. There's
Beautiful
just
guitar.
pretty guitars.
The logo on the headstock.
Oh, the Golden Era, dude.
Golden Era.
CFM block.
CFM block logo on a slotted headstock. The Pale Moon Ebony is something that's very cool. So this really up until recently, I hadn't seen it used very much. I've never seen Martin use it before. And I remember, had we talked about it before you'd gone out there? Or had
That was the first time I
you
saw
reached
it.
out to me about it while you were there. It's the only other recent luthier I've seen using it is Kevin Ryan guitars,
Yeah.
which are amazing
Insane.
guitars and go for a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult wood to work with.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing wood. The aesthetics of it and working it in as like a fretboard's great. It's like keeping it until you get to work with it is the problem. But it's such a striking wood.
Yeah.
And this isn't the only spoiler alert, Zittacote Italian Alpine Spruce custom Martin that we've done.
Yes.
But what a pairing.
It's a beautiful pairing. So some other stuff that's come in. You mentioned another of the similar wood pairing.
Did you show the back of that very well? You could just kind of hugged it because of the awkwardness of everything, but you gotta show it. It's like a hall of curtains. And this is one of the things I love about Zittacote is it kind of like really good Brazilian rosewood. There's a spider webbing effect that creates these black streaks that looks like it's layered. It looks like it's three-dimensional pieces of wood stacked on top of one another.
And another set that you and I found that was incredible from NAMM. Mm-hmm. We got a triple O and an OM, same exact body shape, just different scale lengths. A couple of those, one's in, one's not. But we got Cocobolo stuff. We got some really cool wild grain stuff that's kind of modern deluxe-y, but it's an Alamo Deluxe, all right? So it's kicked up to 11. It's fun to be at Alamo right now. Mm-hmm. Some Guatemalan stuff, some very, we showed off a 0030 authentic 1919. Not one that was built in 1919, but one that was built a while ago that was brand new. We also got some brand new stuff that was not built in 1929, but Alamo was.
Yes.
So we got to do some fun stuff, and I'm really excited. There's also Strats.
So to wrap up the Martin part, so that's just a taste.
It's just a taste.
To get the full experience, you'll want to see what we do on the channel with these. But they are special. They are labeled uniquely with our logo and the fact that we've been open since 29. And they also come with a special certificate.
Yeah.
That's from us and very cool.
It's got the serial number written on there. So
written by the hand of Greenberg.
That's my handwriting.
So.
And I really have been practicing because when I'm writing notes just for my own use.
It looks like Sanskrit?
You can't even,
It's just a 10,000-year-old dead language?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. And, the other thing that we've teased a bunch is Stratocasters. You've seen mine on the channel.
which is the Sherwood,
Greenberg.
I love that.
But Chris did one, Blake did one, David did one, Ramon did one. These are all people that you have either seen or probably talked to if you've called the store or gotten your guitar packed to buy. Mm-hmm. And if it was packed really well, that was Ramon. All right. If it was not
wasn't packed very well,
that was me.
That's you.
All right. I had to pitch in around the holidays last year.
Yeah.
When was that happened?
It was when everyone got COVID. It was like mid-December. So you and I were both in the warehouse.
So I'll just say as a quick side, there was like a whole week and a half period where our entire warehouse got wiped out by COVID. I'm proud to say
it reminds me of that scene from My Cousin Vinny where the store's closed because everyone has the flu.
Yeah.
That was the moment.
Yeah. It sucked. But one, I will say that we did not miss a shipment. Mm-mm. Everything got out on time, and I think it was packed very well. The unfortunate part is that since nobody that works in the warehouse was down there, about half the time we used the wrong UPS account, and we paid like double.
Yeah, that was fun.
But that's like fine.
At least it went out.
This is fine. Like, it's okay because everybody got their slide grease and valve oil on time.
On time. It happened twice, actually. It was in August, and then it happened in December.
Yeah, that was a harrowing experience because I realized how frustrating it is to send out 70 shipments a day and be like constantly running around, but also waiting to hear the bell ring for UPS to arrive.
Yeah,
and
we should explain that. We don't. This is an old store downtown San Antonio. We don't have a loading dock. We have an elevator, just like you'd see in New York City, right? So what happens is trucks pull up in the back of our store, ring an obnoxious bell, and then we get to deal with a freight elevator bringing stuff in. And when it's a very large shipment, that means a few trips. So yeah, good times. But we made it through, and now we're here to do it another year. I hope nobody gets COVID en masse this time.
I hope not. But every day something else happens. You might see me checking my phone during this podcast, and it's not because I'm disinterested, but there's fires every day.
Every day. It's cool.
Yeah,
but going back to when things are well packed, that's Ramon. So he put together a Strat design. You did yours. I did mine, and yours are similar.
Very similar. And I kind of want to wait until we've talked about mine and Blake's on videos. We haven't shown off yours or the other two guys yet, and I want you each to have the initial reveal. However, I will say, me, Chris, and Blake were pretty similar, in a very classic way of just like let's do something that we identify with the ultimate Strat. The other two guys, they're weird. And they did some fun stuff that I think the more we look at these custom shop events with Fender, there's guys at Fender that are doing more of that kind of stuff now. And I think that obviously means that, one, people that work at Fender like it, and two, there's a market for it. And so maybe we'll get completely blown away by how much people love pickups that are not hand-wired, tomatillos or whatever.
Right.
Some people might want a little rock and roll in their game, and I think that's cool. Some people like, poly more than nitro, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I put together a order with a gentleman not too long ago, and yeah, those poly bass finish. And when we talked about like the benefits of one over the other, he basically wanted a guitar that would always look new. It's like, well, yeah, poly's the way you want to go.
So my question for you, while we're talking Fenders, just as an aside, I know what your guitar is, and it's very classic. Your custom Strat. Did any part of you consider making a more artisan style, like real fancy pants wood, like a maple burl or a koa or something like that?
Very briefly, because I own a Strat like that. My go-to Strat has they called it exotic quilt maple top. But it's funny is I didn't buy that guitar because of the aesthetics. I bought the guitar because of how it sounded, and then the aesthetics were like a plus. Yeah, it felt and just sounded great. And so, and I love that guitar. The aesthetics are kind of a bonus. It also has a ridiculous bird's eye maple neck.
Yeah.
And I'll look down at that while I'm playing and just kind of go, yeah, that's really gorgeous. So I did
the bird's
some
eye
of
view.
that with my custom in regards to the neck, but I don't look at the rest when I'm playing it. And I do also really like some classic stuff. Incidentally, Strat related, but not a different but from a different company. We just got some new Patrick James Eggle, some PJE guitars in that we've been waiting on.
Unfortunately, but fortunately, probably my favorite one that I've ever seen came in,
It was already pre-sold.
Yeah, it was pre-sold.
Such a gorgeous guitar.
It was like, so the two that we got at the very beginning that sold the quickest, it was the semi-hollow Macon carved top and the, just normal carved top.
The semi-hollow with a flame neck.
Yeah. And both of those guitars, like we got round 2 of those, and they are awesome. I also loved, because like most people out there, I've been exposed to really only what we've gotten, what we've shown on the channel, whatever. And so when we got the other one in, it just kind of reignited, like, they got some...
These are some of the best guitars
sweet
ever.
finishes.
Yeah.
And some great sets of wood, for those tops and the necks and everything. They're just awesome.
It's interesting. If you go back, you're talking about Guitar Reddit, if you search Eggle, pretty much everything that comes up is this is the best guitar I've ever owned. This is the best guitar I've ever
People
played.
are like, have you ever heard of these?
Yeah.
I played one of these. Yeah.
They're incredible. But the reason I bring them up is they have collaborated with a few artists to do some artist signatures. Their latest one, I was looking at it today on their Instagram post, and in some ways it reminded me of the custom Strat I built. And so...
Who is the artist?
I can't remember. He's an English artist that I wasn't familiar
Chris
with.
McKee.
Sorry. Check out their Instagram. But that would give you kind of a sneak peek into a little bit about my guitar. It was cool because I was like, oh, yeah, like mine's, So,
let's do a Mark Agnesi style The Collection video.
with me?
Yeah.
Okay. How many guitars do you have?
I don't know.
Gotta do the math, right?
Maybe like 12, but a lot of them, like I've got the ones that are like for shows and for performing and recording, and then I've got another closet of a bunch of inexpensive utility instruments, banjos, like a Nashville strung guitar, bass, like a bunch of things that aren't like these are things I perform with, but like that I like to have for jamming. But I got the core group, I think, is probably like 6 or 7 of like these are instruments that I am constantly playing or recording with. What about you?
15.
You got 15?
Yeah.
Rank them all right now, top to bottom.
Ooh, I can't. Well, acoustic would be my 914. It's always going to be my desert island guitar. The one I'm favoring lately on my electric side is either my 335 or my Les Paul. And I've got a project guitar that is cool that I want to show on the channel as I work on it because I think that'd be neat. But I had at one point like 22 guitars, and some of these I got just kind of being in the industry. You sell stuff. Sometimes companies would have like things that you could do to earn guitars or amps or whatever. And I had a lot of guitars I wasn't playing, so I sold a bunch of stuff up and bought amps and pedals and other guitars. So I've kind of distilled it down. But yeah, I have about 15 guitars right now.
Well, you love your 914C. I got a Yamaha FS800 from NAMM last year. So we're basically...
I remember that.
We're very similar in like what we have. I thought they forgot for a while to send it to me, and I was like, whatever. But then I got it, and it's like actually a pretty nice guitar.
That's pretty cool. No, they are really great guitars.
If you're looking for something sub $300, FS800, pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
And that's my number one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the one you grab.
I don't love the Martin that I just got, but I do love the Yamaha.
Yeah. That Martin, it's light, it's resonant, it's what I would have picked.
Super fun, man. I love that guitar.
Very proud of you.
It was cool because when I was at the factory, I told him I wanted a, Adirondack mahogany, the Mahogany.
You basically got an HD18 custom.
Oh yeah, but they let me mahogany. A lot of times when people are looking at customs, it's like I just want mahogany or synchro. It's not like a big pick out your own set kind of wood, like Koa or Zerakote or Kokobola, whatever. But they did let me pick one out, and it's like a really interesting, cool set of mahogany. and they let me pick out the top. It was a nice experience, and I freaking love that guitar. And it finally satiated my need of a mahogany dread. So it ends here.
I still have that need.
Yeah.
That's on my list.
Get yourself
Mahogany
a Yairi Masterworks.
There's I kind of go back and forth between a lot of them. There's a bunch of models I really like. This is an interesting topic to discuss because how beholden are you to a model? How beholden are you to tradition? And at the end of the day, it becomes splitting hairs to find what you really, really like if you're in the privileged position to choose like that. And so it's funny. I like the Builder's Edition 517 that Taylor makes. I think it's one of their best guitars, and I think it's undervalued in the market because it's not a GA with the cutaway.
Yeah.
But I think that's a fantastic guitar. I love D18s, and I would love to do kind of a custom similar to what you did.
Yeah.
So like when you went with the specs, and I know you've said it was a lot of the stuff we've talked about of like, these are the things that make the guitar
Really affect
better.
it. Yeah. Bracing, the adhesive, the long saddle, thin finish, but also like, it's just something about, like we've always talked about, like a Martin custom shop. When it comes in, it seems lighter, it seems more resonant. I went with no inlay on the fingerboard. The inlay on the headstock is wood. Like there's no pearl, there's no fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Just fancy sound, and I dig it. Yeah.
The other ones on my list would be a J45, but I really like the custom shop J45s we've got in.
The banner, those are some of the best too.
Guitars. And that checks so many boxes without having to like custom order something because it's a custom shop and it's got the hide glue and the thermally aged red spruce or Addy spruce, and I love those guitars. But I do also really like the FG9M or the Yairi, and so that it could be like, oh, you go this different route. I know you were looking at the Yairi too.
Yeah, I freaking love that guitar. And that's another one too that like all these that we're talking about are pretty typically really light guitars, really loud guitars that are just like so like loud but not obnoxious, not tinny. They're warm and they're
because they don't have the rosewood high end treble. They're loud but rounded.
Do you think if you were to put up a list of contenders of like the best spruce mahogany dreadnought and the spruce rosewood dreadnought, which list would be longer?
Rosewood. You know why?
Why?
Because there's just more of them.
But let's just say,
if you
you count all the Martins that are spruce rosewood. You have more. Yeah.
No. I think just outside Gibson's the one manufacturer that like, seems to really prize mahogany.
Yeah.
And just go, this is our tone wood for the most part, and we might use maple occasionally or rosewood, but it's going to be mahogany otherwise. But if you look at the variation of models that are available from all manufacturers, it's what I've said before. Rosewood is treated like it's a much more valuable wood because I think it's visually has more going on. Visually, it's more appealing, and people like that sound. I love the sound of spruce and rosewood, but because of that, it's just treated as a more expensive wood and a nicer wood, and there's more of them that are out there on the market, and so and there's a lot of nice ones. Like Guild's a great example, right? Guild does not have an upmarket fancy mahogany dread. They do have a D55.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that. And I think the D55 is a better guitar than the D50, and so if you're making the list, where does that go? The D40 traditional is amazing. It would definitely not be on the list, but I think because that's how manufacturers approach those tone woods, that's the inevitability of it.
Where's okay, so you got rosewood, mahogany, koa, maple, walnut. Like, where do you rank those five?
Well,
in that order right there.
So here's what's interesting. Outside of the last 20 years, there were three traditional tone woods for an acoustic guitar, back and sides. It was rosewood and mahogany, maple. Yeah, that was it. And then, koa would have been, outside of a Hawaiian instrument, an exotic wood. And I would credit Taylor primarily for normalizing that. There's been some great builders that worked with koa, But Taylor did that for Koa. I think they did that with Ovenkol, although they don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Which I find to be unfortunate. But
Yeah, those are some nice guitars. Those like 400 series.
the 400 series with Ovenkol, it was really cool. But yeah, I mean, in the last 20 years, more tonewoods have become available. And this is something we'll be talking to Taylor about. Depending upon when you see this, we're going on a trip back to the Taylor factory. We're going to be talking some tonwood stuff while we're out there. And we'll put that on the channel once we are able to. But I think that's a discussion that's being had is just what's going on with tonwood availability, what's on the market, and making a case to consumers of why. It seems to me that more so people buy with their eyes. And tone is secondary. I've always kind of approached the instrument opposite of that. But, pretty grain's also important. So,
I mean, for my favorites all time, it's got to be mahogany first, urban ironbark, number 2. I love ironbark. I think maybe myrtle. You can't pass that up. Then rosewood.
When your guitar tonewood sounds like an old woman,
Myrtle. Blanche. Edith's gonna be in there. I am really excited because last year when we went to Taylor, there was myrtle and limba and just a bunch of really, really cool stuff. And I think this year we're gonna see more interesting things, but we're also gonna get to see where some of it comes from.
Which is pretty cool.
We're going to Mexico. All right.
Yeah, we're going south of the border with our passports and hopefully coming back. I had a problem in Germany. Hopefully this facial recognition doesn't stop me this time.
I'm just bring some cash on you. Well, it'll be fine. Yeah, I'm really excited. That's going to be a good trip. And before you know it, it's NAMM time.
But to your question, I will say this. Rosewood is my top pick because of what I typically play.
Yeah.
So mahogany was never on my choice list in the past because learning bluegrass runs and stuff is something more recent for me.
Yeah.
And I really love that kind of music. Acoustic Delta blues kind of stuff. I love that. But I'm just now kind of getting into it. But I started listening to a bunch of fingerstyle guys.
Fingerstyles, singer-songwriter stuff. That's like your wheelhouse.
Yeah. And so, my instrument was I was playing solo stuff on fingerstyle or it was accompanying my singing. And so I've always gravitated to spruce and rosewood. Yeah. And so that would always kind of be my top. But I love having tools in the drawer, so to speak.
After that Business Insider video, I got really into the spruce back guitars.
Hey, Dick Boak made an all spruce guitar.
Well,
did I tell you that?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not Dick Boak. Dick Boak made this in a cave.
With a box of scrap. He called it the Spruce Goose.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
From the Spruce Goose to the D42 Special.
And he also made one called the Aardvark that has like no shoulders on it.
It's just like
one of
those Vox electrics. Yeah, that's cool. That's fun.
Yeah, all after he left Martin. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, Martin, we've been talking a lot since we're going to Taylor about there's always limitations in any custom shop. And sometimes if you've worked on a custom with us through Taylor or if you've bought one of the ones that we've done, there's things that sometimes we want to do that they're like, we don't really do that. And it's stuff that we're like, just do it.
You'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah, exactly. And every custom shop is like that. Like we went through that with some of the Fender stuff, asking for switching options that nobody should ever do or want, but they said no because we asked them. And so now it's whatever. But Martin, no cedar in the custom shop, which that's a whole other thing. Is like, everybody, it's always like Sitka or Adirondack or Engelmann or Italian Alpine or whatever. But where's the cedar love,
So it's interesting. So back in the 90s, Taylor's using cedar, right? 514, 714 specifically, which are kind of famous models for people that, were in the know back then. Siegel has often used cedar with great aplomb. Yuri has used cedar. And then there's a lot of small builders. I mean, James Olson's guitars that people just drool over. I saw one for sale the other day. If I had $51,000, it'd be great to own. Cedar topped. The Olson that Phil Kagi, one of my guitar heroes, played forever was a small jumbo, which is like an Grand Auditorium with rosewood and cedar. It's a great combination.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
That's the good stuff.
We got to get Martin doing
It's
cedar.
so
man.
rich. But once Martin opens up the cedar game, we can do some really cool stuff. It would just be fun to hear what an HD28 sounds like with cedar top, or D18 or
Yeah.
0018 cedar.
One I've liked what like Ferk's using cedar with
People
great effect.
almost seem to prefer the cedar models a lot of times, like with the Ferk stuff. The yellows, we sell more cedars, and
Yeah.
the GNCs, obviously, because the classical kind of vibe. But I just, now we're on the Ferk train, I want those to come in.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this is a preview. We do have some really cool stuff. We talked about our trip out to the Czech Republic, and I had a great time. For my wife's birthday, one thing she got was a Czech cookbook.
Nice.
And I'm just checking every recipe with Yana, going, "Is this authentic?" And she's telling me, "Don't do that. That's Slovakian or whatever." It's like, cool. I'm
can't
gonna
eat
make some
Slovakian.
potato dumplings, but
I'd kill for that croquette deal with the cabbage
So
and
good.
the beer. Oh, man.
So, but we ordered some really great guitars, some custom stuff, some limited edition
Yeah.
stuff, and some of the new designs that are coming in. And it should be in here soon, and then I think the next month or two, from the time we're recording this right now.
I'm so pumped for that Madagascar Dread. That's sweet. So,
Or that Sinker Ebony.
the Chris McKee signature Ferg. So before I say my last thing, do you have any final words? Because I'm gonna, we do I gotta drop you with like a rapid fire at the end.
Great. No, I'm looking forward to our trip. I hope that it's everyone really enjoyed it last time, and I just want to kind of bring more. When it comes to Taylor, I think the U.S. factory has been covered really well, not so
Yeah.
much the Mexico factory.
Yeah.
And I think they do such a good thing. So I'm excited about that. It's always fun to go to SoCal with you, and hopefully we don't find bugs in any guitars anywhere.
No bugs. So I went to Montana last week. Very fun time. Didn't see Paul Decker,
By the
but
way,
it's like whatever.
Thanks for. I got to do my job. I got to do your job. That was fun.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a good time. Now I was on the plane, flew Delta. Don't recommend it. But I got on the plane and
This podcast sponsored by Delta Airlines.
this podcast is sponsored by United Airlines. All
Hey,
right?
United breaks guitars.
Well, my father-in-law works for United, so like Delta, whatever, I'm done with you. Also, like they didn't give me a seat until my zone was already boarding, and they're like, "Oh, you can sit like maybe 19C," and I'm like, whatever. So Delta, what I do like about Delta more than Southwest is that there's movies. All right, I hate how Southwest doesn't have the screens. This is not an airline podcast. Back to the story. So I'm scrolling through. I'm looking at new releases. This is on my way out of San Antonio. I'm like, oh man, I heard that new Zendaya movie Challengers is real good.
Gosh,
So I put on Challengers, and
I would be highly uncomfortable watching that in a plane.
yeah. So I put on Challengers, and I still haven't seen it because I turned it on. If you've seen it, it opens up with just a close up of just sweat dripping off a man, and I see that and I start doing the look around like, who put this on? I don't want that. I want to watch Iron Man. So I watched Iron Man OG. It's still holds up.
Yeah,
That's a great
best
movie.
Marvel movie in my opinion.
So then, of course, I took 4 flights over the weekend, and I was just watching like Marvel the whole time because I don't really do that often. I don't have the Disney Plus subscription, and I'm like, it's one of those things where once I get in that zone, I'm like, oh man, it's Marvel time. So a lot has changed over time from that original Jon Favreau to the absolute garbage mess that it is now. But that it's not a Marvel podcast, but back to the story. So my question for you is the OG Avengers, Iron Man, Hawkeye for some reason, Black Widow, Hulk, Thor, Captain America. That's who we're working with in Avengers against Loki, correct?
Right. And
So-
the Chitauri army.
Yeah, we'll get there. Of those 6 original Avengers, What are they as guitars?
Oh wow. Okay.
That was a roundabout way of getting to my new cheese plate
this
question.
This is a new cheese board comparison. All right, so we got to go with like the most technologically advanced guitar would be Iron Man. So what would that be? That's gosh, that's like the.
That's a transacoustic, dude. Built-in effects.
I was actually gonna say, have you seen the Lage guitars? The Lage, the French company, where it's got that stuff built in, but the side is like literally like an iPhone display.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That would probably be
Yeah.
the closest thing to Iron Man that you could get.
Yeah, that's fair.
In stuff we carry, it might be comparable to like a Fender Ultra.
Oh yeah, that's
Right?
good.
Ultra
That's
Lux.
good.
Yeah, you've got all the
plasma
switches
red
and
burst or
changes
something like
and
that.
the
Yeah.
smooth stuff. Yeah.
All right, that's good.
And then Hulk is going to be a J200. It's just the biggest thing that's going to be on the wall.
It's J200, but it's one of their exclusive mod guitars that's just in
green.
like the worst green you've ever seen.
They should do a Hulk green,
Dude.
That's right up Gibson's alley right now.
Because they're Rolex.
Yeah. So so that would be Hulk. Capped something's classic, right? It's like it's a 59 Les Paul or a 61 Strat
Or like a D18 Authentic.
or D18 Authentic. Yeah. Yeah, definitely something classic like that. Let's see. We have a guitar that goes in for Black Widow, and that is the Daisy Rock Powerpuff guitars that's currently for sale on our website.
Yes.
That would be
yeah,
my pick for
that's
Black
true.
Widow.
I think Black Widow could also be like maybe some kind of like more metal guitar because like she's very quick and nimble and
How
kinda,
about an Ibanez Nita Strauss signature model? Feminine, fast, metal.
Yeah.
Good?
Okay, that's good.
All right. Ready for... We're just down to Hawkeye now, right?
Yeah. Let me
Okay.
think about my least favorite guitar of all
No,
time.
here's what it is. Ready?
Yeah.
It's an FJ800. You know why? Because it's still a guitar. Right?
That's fair.
He can
Okay.
shoot bows. He has a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Okay? He can be a hero. He doesn't have any superpowers.
Yeah.
It's not anything flashy.
Yeah.
But, he can call out what's going on from the top of a building.
Yeah. That's
And then, get airlifted by Iron Man when he needs to get somewhere quick.
fair. Yeah. That's fair. Thor.
Thor. Thor is a 1970 Les Paul Deluxe.
That's pretty good. I was also going to say maybe a Trini Lopez.
Trini Lopez is cool, but
Because if I had a hammer, am I right? Thank you.
here's why I'm going to go with the 70s Les Paul, because the weight of those is greater than the Black Hole.
Yeah.
Because of its density, and that you can't pick up Mjolnir.
And you gotta be worthy,
Now I got one for you
For the
because you
rock.
didn't call it out.
huh?
Which guitar is Nick Fury?
Les Paul Jr. There's one pickup.
And I've got a bonus one for you. I was visiting the guitar shop looking for something the other day where Casey's stuff is, and I found one of those Guild Bob Marley guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And this Guild Bob Marley guitar represents Agent Coulson. You know why? Because it was broken to pieces. The neck was over here, and here was the body and the top.
I was gonna say that Bob Marley guitar was like Quicksilver from Age of Ultron because it's disposable.
It's no plot armor.
No plot armor.
Oh,
That's a joke. Guild is good. All
Maria
right.
Hill. Dude,
Maria
is there
Hill.
You gotta think of a guitar that was gotten rid of with no aplomb.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Just out of
This
there.
character no longer is there.
Oh, the Firebird X. Yeah,
you go.
that's pretty
There
good.
you go, Maria Hill, the Firebird X. Just destroy them all. We no
Yeah,
longer need
okay.
it. Poor Kobe Smothers.
Well, that is good stuff for me. I like that. And I will say that they made Thor a lot more fun as time went on. And they made the Iron Man suits a lot cooler as time went on. Because when I was watching those early ones, I was like, where's the good stuff? But the quips remain the same.
Clips are great.
What's your favorite Avenger? Put it in the comments. I want to know. I guarantee you nobody says Hawkeye.
Nobody says Hawkeye. Hey, the show is pretty good. Anyways, well, this has been another thrilling, exciting episode of the Fretboard Confessional. Here's your confession. Your favorite Avenger. Have you ever had bugs in your guitar? And are you just going to buy certified pre-owned stuff from Reverb, or are you going to support your local stores and buy used guitars from us?
Or new guitars. We'll certify them.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Yeah.
Cooper is certifiable. So, anyways.
As Josh points out in the back, you can always clean it with a little bug slide, for your motorcycle helmet and your certified pre-owned.
There you go. Anyways,
vehicle.
Thanks so much for watching. Tune into our YouTube channel, subscribe, all of that cool stuff, and we'll put out another episode as soon as we can. So, peace.